Right, Danny Williams, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
So I thought I'd ask, pick your brains, because you've been thrown in the limelight because you were Love Island, was it?
Yeah.
Love Island, yeah. How many years ago is that now?
2019.
Okay, and you've obviously got your podcast on mental health, so straight away I thought, right, well, I don't think my mental health is that sound because I can't switch off. I'd love to spend time with Mrs. and actually think about her, but instead I'm thinking about work. That's obviously poor mental health. I thought, this guy's the ultimate speaker, you know what I mean? And obviously you're kind enough to grace us with your presence in the gym quite a bit, so I thought I'd grab you. So talk to me, let's go way back. What did you do before you went on Love Island then? What was the job? How old were you and all the rest of it?
Wow, okay, so if I go back before Love Island, I was 20-21 when that whole process started.
Okay.
I was working as a model before that, and I'd been doing that for maybe 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And then before that, I used to work in like restaurants and cocktail bars.
Okay, as a bartender or waiter or a bit of everything?
A bit of everything, really.
Okay.
So I first started when I was about 15.
Right.
And my best mate at the time, and still my best friend now, his family business was this restaurant and cocktail bar.
Cool.
And he just kind of roped us in it. We were still at school and we just kind of got roped in, glass collecting, you know, dishes, that kind of stuff. And then kind of progressed into waitering and then into bartending. And then about 21 or so is when I started modelling.
So how did you start modelling? Because I also modelled and I got scouted from like a bit of a scam agency when I was walking around in Leeds at the time. But then a decent agency actually collared me and got me going. So how did it start for you?
So I got scouted as well. I was in London. I've got some family in London. I was just visiting family, and there was quite a bit of time between me getting to King's Cross and then getting an actual train back. So I was like, right, I've got about an hour or two. And as such a tourist, like, doesn't go to London that much, I just went to central London. I went in Soho, went for a coffee, and just was chilling on my own, waiting for a train. And I actually got scouted in the street, which felt so surreal at the time.
Wow.
And yeah, he was just like, have you ever thought about modelling? And I was like, what? there's me, like a bartender at the time, thinking, you know, my mate's going to take the piss out of me for this.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah,
where are the cameras? Do you know what I mean?
I played rugby at the time, and I think they all started calling me Westlife, and I was like, right,
yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
Like, I wasn't even, you know, when I tell this story, it's quite easy to see it as like a fairy tale kind of story, but genuinely at the time, I was almost like embarrassed that if I came, I'm not going to tell my mates about this. Like, this is
absolutely.
a bit.
Yeah, especially if you're a bartender, you're like, yeah.
You know, so I was a bit kind of shocked by it, but within about 2 weeks, I'd literally moved my whole life. I'd moved to London and started doing it full time.
Oh wow, you went down to London, did you?
Yeah.
So full-time modelling for you was what, a few times a week are we talking, or was it just maybe one job a week? Or
Yeah, so I was lucky. I kind of hit the ground running, and I started, I think probably about 3 days a week was my average in the first, like, I say 6 months.
Okay, and was it good money? Because I know half day back in my day when I did it was like 280 to 320 quid, and that was like 6 hours they'd book you for, and sometimes you'd go 2 hours, rattle out 10 t-shirts, and then they send you home.
Yeah, I mean, from where I came from, it was great money.
Yeah.
I went from sort of 200 quid a week as a bartender, and loving it. Like, that was first time I'd done any real kind of money. And, you know, that to like 1,500 a day.
Wow,
you know,
amazing.
Some kind of day rates were amazing. So for me, I was like, I've never earned this kind of money before. And also the amount of effort you put into it is much less.
Yes, I mean, catwalks, did you do catwalks as well?
I did London Fashion Week.
Oh, right, amazing. I found that quite stressful. I did like the buzz of it, like going out and thinking, oh God, there's thousands of people here, do you know what I mean? I did quite enjoy it, but the whole getting changed, I don't know why they design shows when you have to get changed in like literally 9 seconds, and you've got like dresses and they're like ripping them off you, and you're like, oh, and there's just like boobs flying everywhere at women, do you know what I mean? You're like, what's going on?
I remember when I did Fashion Week, that was, for me, like the pinnacle of modelling. I was so like, that was the first and only time I truly felt like a real model, or how I perceived modelling to be before I started it.
Absolutely.
I remember very vividly being a model week in, week out, going to these brands and shooting e-commerce, and not really feeling like a model. I didn't really feel that fashionable. I didn't really feel.
Or high,
commercial. So I was doing brands like ASOS or JD, River Island, Boohoo, your typical, you know, high street fashion brands, whatever. And you do feel a bit like an employee sometimes. I don't know if you can relate to that, but I felt a lot like some days you go in and you do a job just like anybody else, which is absolutely fine, but it's not as glitz and glam as you probably thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I got rebooked because I do that many t-shirts so quick. Do you know what I mean? So like with that art clothing,
exactly the same.
Literally, like you're like 4 hours, you just didn't mess about. And the only reason I got rebooked is because I just wasn't a diva. There were so many diva models, And I just got on with it. I was like, I don't take life too seriously. I'll put fancy dress on. Give me a morph suit. I'll show you the tackle, whatever. Did you have with it? Like, so I did a bit of like, I actually got signed to a gay underwear company at some stage. So I did like loads of the pride parades and all the rest of it. And oh man, have you got any interesting stories to tell? Because I've got some crazy stories. Like gay photographers maybe trying to be a bit too suggestive. Like, do you want to turn around here and do that? And you'd be like, no. No.
Yeah, I think there's one that comes to mind quite quickly, and
you don't have to say names, by the way.
No, I won't name drop specific names, but I remember I did a photo shoot for Attitude magazine.
Okay, yes.
And it was with Little Mix, and they was about to launch a new album, and they was the front cover of this magazine. It's quite a big magazine.
Yeah, of course.
And at the time, I hadn't really made an impact yet as a model. Yeah. I'd done a few gigs, had a few regular clients, but I was quite under the radar. And I did this shoot, and on the front cover of Attitude magazine, it's in every single WH Smith in the UK, and there's me on the front cover with one of the girls on my back. I'm holding her on my back like this. And for me, it was a massive breakthrough moment where I got a lot of exposure, a lot of attention.
Who's that guy? Yeah.
Exactly. Little Mix are huge as well. But off the back of it was like, the type of exposure I was getting was like a lot of that kind of attention, which I hadn't really had before. I would go into a studio, do e-commerce for a day and go home, and was still relatively unknown. It didn't really make a difference. But when I did that shoot, like my name was on every, if you open the magazine, it would say my name there.
Yeah, cool.
I was getting hundreds of followers per day I'd never had that before.
Did you get loads of followers? Because obviously Instagram and Facebook's very relevant in world in general now, right? So before you started modelling, you might have had a few hundred, and then you started modelling. Did you start getting into your thousands, I'm assuming?
No, actually, so before I started modelling, I probably had a couple of hundred, I can't remember, in the hundreds probably. Yeah. And then when I started modelling, it's weird because I'm in the habit of posting probably every day now. Yeah. But back then, even when I was modelling, I still probably posted once or twice, maybe a month. Like it wasn't very regular. Right, yeah. I probably gained about 2,000 or 3,000 followers.
Okay. So Love Island's what through you?
For sure, yeah. And this was maybe I didn't really understand what influencing was, or the concept of social media was just foreign to me, even when I was modelling. And I did know some people who were influencers and had big followings, but that just never appealed to me. It wasn't something I strived for. No. It's weird because it's like a different life I live now. But back then, I didn't even really go on Instagram at all.
Really?
But then when I first had that taste of exposure and my notifications are going off quite a lot, I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And that was my first real taste of it. But the link to your story or your reference was, a lot of that attention was from guys in my DMs.
Big time, yeah. This guy's clearly straight, he's got a girl on his back, I want him. Yeah. It's something I can't have, I'm having him. Oh.
And it was like invitations to do private photo shoots with people, or
massages.
And I very much got the impression, this is a separate conversation completely, but I very much got the impression that if I chose to pursue some of those invitations, shall we call it, it could have potentially elevated my career. I don't know if you ever got that experience.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard of plenty of people in the fitness industry I know working with specific photographers that might have done naughty things to the photographers to go on front covers. Honestly, I'll probably speak to, I know Ryan Terry quite well, and me and him know all sorts, and I might out some people. I'm only joking.
He's just rubbing your hands together like this.
In the fitness industry, God, because, I mean, I was there when Gymshark first launched, all the rest of it, first Body Power. I knew everyone back in the day, so I know everything, like, everything people did to kind of climb the ladder, which I thought was just a bit, mad.
When I went through that experience of modelling, I very much got a sense of, there's a lot of backhanded favours, a lot of blackmail, a lot of if you do this and sleep with this person, if you know that. And that was probably the first time I got a sense of like, it's definitely not a fairy tale glitz and glam thing. You've got to have your wits about you.
Yeah. It's quite hard. I genuinely did think it was quite hard. It was quite stressful. I know you didn't get many breaks and stuff, and all they wanted you to do was get as many pictures as possible in that set time, and it's not as easy as it seems. I mean, it might change nowadays. I think modelling's probably dead nowadays because people don't get paid anymore. They just get given free stuff, like, you know what I mean?
High
fashion. And
I remember when even in the few years I was modelling, the transition was very, very quick from like, you had your traditional models who, if they walk down the street, you'd be like, fucking hell, that guy or girl is incredible. Very clearly a model and born to do it. And they would demand really high fees. They'd be with a really good agency. And that would be a career for them, right? And the transition, even in the window I was doing it, it went from that to sort of, well, we can get like these social media bloggers
That's
who are pretty and look great.
Yeah.
But I think there is a distinction between a traditional model
Yes.
from back in the day, runway model in terms of their aesthetic and their body image, and now we can pay an influencer in giftings or clothings for free, and they'll get the same job done. They get the same amount of sales. Yeah. If you're a business, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So how did you get into Love Island then, and what made you think of doing that? Because people say that about me when I did Take Me Out and all these cringeworthy TV shows, but like, why? Do you know, how did you even get to this point?
Yeah, so it started the year before actually.
Okay.
The year before, I just moved to London to start modelling, and I got approached by Love Island. They asked me if I wanted to go on it.
Is it ITV Love Island?
ITV. And cut a long story short, I went through a lot of the process, thought I was going to do it, and then I bottled it. I was like, I'm not ready, I don't want to do it. I could sense that it was bigger than what I was ready for.
Was this like first, second, third? Which one was this? Because obviously...
This would have been 2018.
So, but how many had already been Love Island? Or was this the first one?
This would have been series 6, because I did series 7.
6. So you'd already known that there's 5 previous to this, and there'd been some people with mental health issues as a result of it.
Yeah.
Is that why you bottled it? Why did you bottle it?
I bottled it because...
You had a girlfriend at the time?
No. No. I think there was a few contributing factors, but I had an overwhelming sense of I'm not ready for what this could potentially change my life into.
As in, you weren't mentally strong enough for all it...
Probably not mentally strong enough for what it could potentially do. I'd seen what had happened with previous contestants.
Because had someone taken their life at this stage?
Yes.
I'm thinking 1, I think.
2, I think.
2,
yeah,
wow.
I
So
think
straight
2
away,
people
that's what I think Love Island. I think, God, there's people that have taken their lives from this. Who'd want to do this? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's 2 sides to the coin, and I remember thinking as well at the time, I wasn't that even comfortable as a model in London. I was still quite new to that. I was still trying to find my feet in that.
You hadn't had that inner confidence. Of
I hadn't built that inner confidence, and I guess the third thing is like I didn't really have a real reason why I was going to do it.
Really?
It was an opportunity which presented itself to me. But I already felt like I was living my own dream of like I'm a model full time, and I was a bartender last year ago. So
I'm assuming, do you know, before Love Island, was it quite good money? As in, I know you said like, £1,000 a job and all the rest of it, but in a year, are we talking? Because you were a more successful model than I was. Are we talking? Were you into your 100 grand? Were you into your 50 grand? What do you reckon? For modelling?
Yes, I probably only had a full 12-month. So a year of modelling once. So I did
what do you reckon you got in that year? Being a successful model?
So
some people will probably think, fucking millions.
God no. There's spells where you don't work for 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
And that's the other side of it. You might earn £1.5 grand in a day for 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
And then you might be off for a week. So I think I
40?
I cleared about 65k, I think.
Okay, so a successful,
which I was
model,
so happy
65.
with. And I was 20 years old at the time.
Yeah, so it's good.
And having come from a council estate in Hull, where both my parents, low income, all my grandparents, etc.,
So it's like never had come true. So now I understand why you think, should I really do Love Island? Because you were already gone, weren't you?
For me, I was like, I'm already really kind of, I'm onto something here.
Yes.
I don't want to potentially...
You don't want to ruin it.
Exactly, yeah.
Because it can give you the wrong light, can't it? You know what I mean? Well, I'd say it can. It can make you look like a manslag. It can make you look like you're a knob. Because they're very clever with editing things, aren't they?
Oh, super clever. But I wasn't really aware of that until I went on it.
Yes, I got the taste of that on Take Me Out, big time.
I bet.
Like, my God, they've just mixed me a bottle here.
It can be, but you haven't got any control of it either, which is the...
You sign your life away, don't you?
You do. You kind of, you think you go in, I'll tell you, hands down, I went into it thinking, any reservations I've got, I need to just let it be, because... I know if I'm just myself and I'm just my nice, considerate, polite self, which I know that I am, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah,
they can't edit me into be something that I'm not.
They can.
And I was completely wrong.
Yes,
you know,
can't they?
And that's not to say that I was perfect on the show. I absolutely wasn't. I was a human who had positive traits and negative traits.
Yeah.
And it was all exposed to the British public.
Yeah.
And every single contestant on that show can be made to look like anything that producers want it to be made.
Absolutely.
Because if you roll for 24 hours of a day for 8-9 weeks, at any given moment you could be moody, you could be happy, you could be cocky, you could be polite. All of the traits a human can exhibit. Across a 24-hour period, you exhibit all those things. And you haven't got to have context to put it on TV. They just put it on TV.
Yeah.
So you might just be sat there like daydreaming, but you look like you're in a mood. And they could use that clip of you looking like you're in a mood. Immediately after, you know, the girl of your dreams just walked past you and chose somebody else. So then the public think that you're mad at that situation.
Right.
So that's kind of how it, you know, they've got enough content of everybody to build the perfect narrative to create the most polarizing content, and that's the whole point of Love Island. It's to polarize. It's to be controversial.
It's not real though, is it? As in, like, I know they're not telling you what to do, but the way they edit it, it's not real, really, is it? Because you weren't in a mood. They just picked a clip from earlier in the day, and do you know what I mean? They do kind of do that. They do that. It's
very much, you know, it is very. Here's the difficulty in explaining it is because I can say it isn't real, and it's a lot of it is fabricated and set up.
Yeah.
But that's not to say the contestants are not real.
Yeah.
Because when you're in there, the emotions are very real. The situations do feel real. It's just, you're almost like a puppet on a string, but you don't know you're a puppet. And as the producer's doing this above you, and you think you're living it, but actually it's all quite orchestrated.
And it's only 8 to 9 weeks, did you say? Is that what it was?
I think so, from start to finish. I think I was on there for 6 weeks.
Oh, really?
So
did you do all right on it then? Because I don't watch it personally. I obviously know about it, but so you get eliminated and all the rest of it, don't you, at some stage? So how at what point does the first get eliminated, and then how long did you last?
Yeah, so I was the first bombshell. So as in, like, you have your starting lineup, and then they drop people in.
Oh, wow.
And I think I was the first guy bombshell. I went in on the 6th day of it starting.
Right, okay.
So I was in there near enough from the start, but not quite the start.
Okay.
Funny story, actually. I think I was supposed to be in from the start.
Right.
And then they came to my house to collect me, to take me to Mallorca.
Yeah.
And I actually lost my passport and didn't realise. I lost my passport, and the ITV are in my house. And my dad's in my house saying his goodbyes to me and everything like that.
And then you can't.
And I'm like, where's my passport? Like, I can't find my passport. And it was on a bank holiday weekend. And
so
I couldn't go get a new passport until 5 days later, basically.
Jesus.
And by the time I got my new passport and got to Mallorca, I was delayed by 6 days.
Oh wow! All right.
And then I went in on the 6th day. So I was led to believe I was going to be in there from the start, and they came to collect me on the same day that they collected the starting cast as well.
Really?
But I ended up going on the 6th day. So that funny little side story, actually.
That passport stays with you all the time, doesn't
it? I'm never going to lose a passport ever again.
So, talk to me. Do they pay you to do it, or do they just go, how much were you earning before? Here, you know what I mean? Do they pay you anything?
No, I'd love to. Yeah, so with this one, they cover your basic bills.
Okay.
And I think it's a set figure for everybody. So it's got no relevance to what you earned before.
Yeah.
There's a minimum...
$6,000 or something?
No. I think it's something like, I want to say £50 a week.
Wow.
Yeah,
50 quid a week.
I think I might have got that wrong, so don't quote me.
But then you've got your free flights, you've got your free holiday, you've got these beautiful women, you were single.
Yeah, that's the biggest misconception, is people think you go on there and you get paid to be there.
Yes, it's the after.
You get your bills covered. So I think when I left, ITV paid me something like 350 quid or something like that. Because I've been there for 6 or 7 weeks.
I did better on Your Face or Mine. I think I got like $3.5 grand for just taking abuse from Jimmy Carr, to be fair. Because you had to answer questions. So yeah, I did quite well on that.
You did better than me, yeah.
Central.
But yeah, we didn't really get paid per se on there. We just got, obviously when you're in there, you're not at home paying your bills, so they've got to cover that. So they cover that.
Yeah.
And but that's all you get from them, really. And it's when you come out and you're in this kind of minefield of a new life. And you have to try and pick your, where am I going to try and make money from this?
Because do you go in thinking, this could be a good money opportunity here, providing I don't make myself look like a dick? Do you know what I mean?
You're 100% aware of it.
Yeah.
I tried not to think about it at the start, and this is me being fully transparent now, and people can think what they want from this, but here's just the truth. Going into it, you try your hardest not to think about all the external stuff, what can happen afterwards. But the longer you're in there, and I was in there for nearly 6 weeks, the longer you're in there, bear in mind there's 6 odd seasons of this, and you know what happens on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're thinking, right, okay, I've been here for a while now. It's either gone tits up and everyone hates me, or there's a chance I could
what's going on outside. Everyone could just be bitching and digging up stories. God.
Exactly, yeah. So you're trying to manage those kind of thoughts whilst living in this villa with people and trying to manage your reality. So when you come out, you have to very quickly try and make sense of everything that's happened the last few weeks, because you didn't know any of what they've been portraying of you. So you have to very quickly try and make sense of the whole narrative, and then try and how can you capitalize from that? But I guess the two biggest hurdles I faced when I came out. First one, trying to make sense of it all, because the journey I lived was the opposite of how I felt in my journey in the villa.
Okay.
So like, when I came out, I was expecting, I don't want to say expecting, but I wasn't expecting what I got when I came out.
What did you
because
get?
I'll start with what I lived. So
Okay.
what I lived was, I made some really, really great friends.
Really?
I made some amazing friends who are still some of my best friends to this day.
Really? That's nice.
And I lived with them for 2 years. So we came out and lived together for a while.
Wow.
So we was like best mates, me and the lads.
Cool.
And I became quite close with some of the girls in there as a friend.
Okay. No one romantic there, really.
No, I also left with a partner who we ended up breaking up a few months after.
Oh, well, it lasted a few months. That's pretty
Lasted
good.
a few months, yeah. And so my reality was like, I lived such a successful time in there. I had so much fun. I met some friends for life. Had an experience of a lifetime. Bring on the world. What happens next,
cool.
right?
Okay.
And when I came out, and you see all of the articles, all the media that you've been exposed to.
Was there quite
people
a few
come
bad
out?
ones?
People come out of the woodworks from your past and try and cause shit for you.
He beat me.
Yeah, you know, one of the biggest things which is really detrimental to me, I think, is that when I first went in there, the first girl I dated was a black girl.
Right.
A girl called Yuande, and we got on really, really well. She's a scientist, really academic. We went on a first date and we just clicked, got on really, really well. And someone from my past came out to the media and sold a story to the press saying that I'm basically faking it because I'm not attracted to black girls.
What?
Which it seems like, obviously I can be attracted to anybody I want, by the way.
What are you on about?
But for some reason, this story just caught fire.
Oh, shit.
And I had a lot of people on social media claiming I was faking it. I'm only using this as a way to build some kind of perception of myself.
How much they got for that story? You know what I mean? Quick
God,
grand to know.
maybe a grand or 2 grand, right?
Just ridiculous.
But for some reason, that story stuck with my, my
it's
journey.
something to do with race.
Yeah, of course.
Which is big, you know what I mean?
Especially in Love Island, because a lot of people think, black people aren't represented enough and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So when that story caught fire,
Oh, my
unbeknown to me, that had a massive effect on the perception of me. Whatever.
So did you come out feeling like, oh shit, people hate me?
Well, here's the thing. So me and this girl, she ended up getting kicked out. She left the villa.
Okay.
And then another girl came in who was white.
Right.
And we clicked, we got on, we were attracted, whatever.
Right. So more.
And then she got kicked out.
Okay, all right.
And then the girl I ended up leaving with was also black.
Right.
And we got on really well, had a relationship. So just kind of proving you can be attracted to anybody, right?
Too right, yeah.
Which makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But because this story had been sold at the start, it just kind of stuck with me. And people had this idea of me as this like playing games kind of
It's
of
gone
character.
now though, surely.
Oh, it's gone now for sure.
It's
gone now for sure. But I didn't know any of what was going on the outside. So when I came out, all I knew is, like I said, I had a great time, met some great people. No one's really bitching or falling out as much as they make out on the show. So, happy times, right?
You came out to, this guy's racist, he doesn't like black people.
Yeah, well,
Or
I
whatever
came out to a sense of like, to black people, I had to prove that I was really into black people. Because there was a sense of like, well, I need to kind of prove that I'm genuine or something.
This person proper stirred a pot for you here, selling that story.
Yeah, it was, and that was just one example, by the way. I could go on. There's so many other examples. That was just one of how your kind of character can be just destroyed before it's even built.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a real pickle. And the second big hurdle I was going to come on to was that you're kind of facing all this. I was kind of facing all these challenges, not as a fully matured, independent, self-aware adult. I was like just this young kid who didn't really know myself yet.
Yeah.
I was just living life as a 21-year-old, right? And now you're exposed to all these massive life obstacles, like trying to discover who you are, what you want to pursue in life, career goals and ambitions. But you can't do that if you don't know yourself. You can't do that if you don't know what you like, what you don't like. What even is my authentic self? I didn't even know these answers yet.
Did you think it helped you at the time, this whole process? Do you think it made it worse?
For me, it was like, it's funny, I see a therapist every week, not because I'm struggling, but just it really helps me.
Of course.
And one thing we speak about is like, a lot of the questions that I now have some answers to, I would have had to have found those answers at some point. I would have had to have found those answers. And this really negative experience actually just made me search for those answers faster.
Quicker, yeah.
So if anything, I'm just grateful for that experience because it just drew that process quicker in my life. But for sure, it wasn't easy. I'll be honest, it really wasn't easy.
Because I think people do see the glamorous side of it. They go, oh yeah, I bet that must be great.
Yeah. Do you know what the trap is? I'll be honest. Do you know what the trap is? When you come out, you feel like you have to live like that in order to show people that you were successful.
Get you.
Right. So you come out and you feel like, well, people are expecting me to live this glitz and glam life.
Yeah.
So instead of being honest and be like, oh no, it's not glitz and glam. Look, I'm struggling.
Yeah.
You feel almost like obliged to try kind of live up to the hype.
Yeah. So more people do it.
So more people do it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so you're going on nights out, you're going on holidays, you're buying expensive things,
Yeah.
and then the consumer or the public or whoever you want to call it, they
I
look
wanna
at
do
they
that.
look at it and think, oh, he's got it, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Little
yeah.
did they know, I'm in crisis.
Yeah.
You know, I'm absolute crisis, living a life I didn't really want to live, trying to discover who I was as a person, lack of identity, lack of sense of self.
Is this
all
why
these
you
things.
did the mental health sort of podcast? Because how long has that been going now? Because this is what I really want to kind of get into.
This has been going about a year.
Oh wow, okay.
And,
You're enjoying it, yeah?
Absolutely love it.
And I'm assuming you thought, my head is a bit cooked here. I need to help people. How did it all start?
It's funny, I had an idea of wanting to launch a podcast long before I did it.
Okay.
And
Why mental health then? Is that because it's something you're so good at now because of all the bad experiences you've had? So
it's
to
not
speak?
even that I'm so good, it's just, and I'm not an expert at all, and I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is that mental health shouldn't be this thing that we can only talk about if we're an expert, or if we're a therapist, or if we're a professional. Mental health is something that we all have, in the same way we all have a physical health. You know, me and you can sit and talk about our legs or our arms or our chest in the gym. We haven't got to be a doctor to do that. We have these things and we can talk about them, right?
Yeah, okay.
So we don't talk about what's going on in our heads because we feel like it's only for therapists or only for doctors.
Get you.
But actually it affects every single one of us. And when I went through that period of being really affected by poor mental health, it made me realise, wait, why aren't more of us talking about it? Because it affects a lot of us.
Yeah, so
not
you want
just
to
me.
help as many people as possible,
Yeah,
and help yourself included, sort of thing. At what stage post-show then did you feel like your mental health might have started taking a bit of a hit?
Oh,
Straight away? I was like, fuck.
I don't know about so from the period of me coming out the show, I would say the first 6 months was more confusion than anything.
Really?
More like awakening to a lot of these, deeper questions that I wanted to answer. And then I would say from the moment me and my partner broke up, it was very public at the time.
Yeah.
I was getting racial abuse, death threats, everything you can think of. I was
Oh,
getting
really?
it all in the thousands per day. Like, it was awful.
Just for breaking up with someone?
Well,
Even
she
though
broke up
it
with
was
me.
you. Oh, well,
Right.
you get the hit anyway.
But
as a
yeah,
guy,
just
you
because that ended and I was perceived to be this villain, right? So I got all this shit. And then luckily for me, and I'm going to say luckily for me because it is only just for me, luckily for me, we went into a pandemic.
Okay, all right, okay.
And it was very fortunate for me because people started to talk about something else.
Yeah, COVID.
I wasn't in the spotlight anymore.
Brilliant.
And I just kind of
Diverted
had the
attention.
time and space to really just be still and reflect and
Right.
ask myself these questions and try to get to the bottom of them. And then coupled with that, I moved back in with my dad because he lived on his own and I didn't want him to be on his own through COVID.
Yeah, of course.
So I moved back in with him, and through that whole process of living with my dad, I really got to answer some of those questions like, who am I? What's my identity, sense of self?
Right.
Just through bonding with my dad, which I'd never
Really?
really done before because I didn't grow up with him.
Okay.
And so that whole process actually really helped me. You know,
Really? So
the whole
COVID
world.
actually helped you a little
For
bit?
me personally, because
Right,
it just
wow.
gave me the time and space to really reflect. I wasn't
Right.
distracted.
Yes.
And I wasn't trying to keep up this character of like, I go on holiday all the time.
Yeah.
I have a great life,
Yes.
drive a nice car, and
Yeah.
all these things.
So
There
stop
wasn't a
pretending
pressure to
almost.
do that.
Yes, get you. Makes
And
sense.
it just let me discover what my authenticity was.
Right.
And now I'm on the other side of that. I want to help other people try and do the same because
Get you.
it's not just me who goes through that process of trying to play a role to keep other people happy or to try and
Yeah, please
impress other people, all
Yeah.
these kind of things.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I guess the podcast, its first goal is to try and help normalise the conversation, just get more people talking about mental health. It's
Yeah,
not this
just
niche.
talk.
It's not
Just
this
talk.
niche thing. It's
Yeah.
like I can sit and talk to you and say, "Fucking hell, I'm really stressed about work right now. Business is a bit difficult. I've got an important meeting coming up, right? And it's really stressing me out." And we can talk about stress, right? That is talking about mental health. But a lot of people feel like they've got to keep that in themselves. I'm really stressed about this important meeting and business failing potentially. But if I show a sign of weakness, that can't be good.
Yes,
I
think men are buggers for this. I think they really are. Like from a personal training point of view, obviously, when I started, most clients were women because they actually ask for help. Guys just don't seem to ask for help. They're just a bit more stubborn. They see it as weakness. But I suppose this is why it all kind of started, because I'm thinking, why am I just kind of keeping this shit to myself? You know what I mean? Because I'm struggling. I just can't switch off. Am I weird? What's wrong? And then the more podcasts I've obviously done, spoke to people, the better I felt just by talking about it. And I feel like I'm not alone. Does that make sense? 100%. You know what I mean? Like, it really does. So, yeah, just having a conversation is just incredible. Like, literally, I feel like already I'm a happier person over the last 3 weeks of just be doing this. So I can definitely see how these, helping people in these podcasts can be quite addictive. Do you know what I mean? Especially, even if it helps one person, I know it'll make me feel good because I'm a pleaser by nature. Do you know what I mean? Because I know one person out there will also have these sort of issues in the head and they can't switch off and they're overthinking everything. And
that's one thing we fall victim to, is if we don't talk at all, if nobody spoke to anybody, we live our life thinking that only us can understand what's going on up there, because our experience is so unique, so nuanced, and so different. How am I supposed to relate to anybody else, right? But if we start having these conversations, I might tell you a story about my life, which could be completely different to your story, but there might be parts of my story you can relate to. And you might tell me that you can relate to that, and that helps me feel better about my story.
He's like, oh, he gets me.
He gets me, he understands me, and that's a huge part of our human experience, is just feeling connected. If we don't communicate, how are we supposed to connect? Yeah,
so you're saying talk more. Yeah, what have you learned? If you were going to say 3 things from all these podcasts you've done so far based on mental health, what would you say are the top 3 tips to people that you've that's helped you and they've kind of blown you away? You're like, gone, oh, wow, that's good. Do you know what I mean? Have you got some tips to maybe share with people that might be struggling? They might not even know they're struggling. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's one.
Yeah,
talk.
I think one of the biggest takeaways I've had from podcasting and just having conversations is that no matter what walk of life you're from, and no matter how extreme your scenario might be, no matter what type of an elite athlete you are or super 1% in the world businessman, whatever, fundamentally we all need the same things in our life.
Right.
I think we all need the same things, and when I say need, I mean it from a human biological perspective. We need to feel connected to other people.
Okay.
We need to have strong relationships. I think we need to help people, and I think we need to be helped, and I think we need to have fun, and we need to play in what kind of context that is, who knows, whether it be video games or whether it be football or whatever it might be.
Sex, whatever.
So fundamentally, no matter where you're from, the simple things do work.
Okay.
And I think we get caught up in this very complicated life of, I need to achieve this much money or reach this business goal or this landmark or whatever it might be. But fundamentally, people just need the simple stuff. Right. Doesn't mean you can't go after more complicated things.
Okay.
But one thing I find in common with all of our guests and also within myself is, like I said, we all have this really unique human experience, but fundamentally we all just need the same things. It's really quite simple. If we work on the simple stuff, it really sets the platform for going after the more complicated stuff.
Okay. So when you say fun, do you just try and factor in a bit of fun every week just to kind of keep you?
Yeah, that's one thing I say to I do one-to-one personal training, and one thing I say to everybody is, have you allotted yourself a slot every week to do something you actually enjoy?
Okay. And so which is what for you? What's your sort of thing?
A few things actually. One thing I really like to do, which is going to sound really cringe, but I like hill walking.
Okay.
Going out on outdoors. Nature walks.
Right.
What else do I do?
You guys like that, don't you?
I play footballs randomly. There's a charity organisation which I play football for. It's called Celebrity Soccer, and we just raise money for different charities every time.
Cool.
That's sort of once a month we'll do that.
Right, cool, all right. And do you just feel like that's something very important to do then? Because this is something that I'm trying to learn. Do
you know what it is? It's, if you don't have time to have fun, I don't think your needs are being met. And it's hard for me to...
That makes sense.
I do believe that within all of us is just a child, right? No matter how old we get, there's still a child inside us.
Yeah.
And all children want to do is laugh and have fun and love and be loved. And I think no matter how old we get, those needs are still there. And if we get caught up, if we get caught up in all the adult stuff and forget to please the child, I think that could lead to unhappiness.
We need to do a checklist of that. I need to write it down. So it was communication with other people, what did you say? Good relationships with other people, having fun. What were the other ones?
I think living in service, so try to help people in whatever
help
capacity.
People, communicate with people, be happy. Right, I'm going to start ticking these off my list every time. Yeah. I think the be fun thing is definitely very important. Yeah, it is.
And it massively improves the other areas of your life. Like, if you really, really, really care about your business or whatever it might be that's important to you, and you think, oh, I can't have fun because I need to work on that.
Yeah.
By actually spending a bit of time on yourself, doing something you enjoy, can improve your business.
Yeah, you'll be more productive. Yeah. I have noticed that when I force myself to kind of rest or just wash the car or something, give myself that headspace, you can go back with a clear head and you can make some better decisions. Yeah, you are
100%.
Right. Yeah.
100%.
They call it like dog brain or something, don't they? When you just kind of like go into something meaningless, like some meaningless task, but then you switch off completely, because that's something I really, really struggle with. So you're very busy then, because you've gone into coaching now, haven't you?
Yeah.
Off the back of it all. Do you know, with the whole Love Island, you did monetize it somehow. A lot of people assume there's a lot of money. We kind of touched on this, didn't we? Was it worth the money? And was it a lot of money you might have got off the back of it with sponsorships and all the rest of it before we go on to the training aspect?
I guess there's two parts to the answer.
The
first part is there's a lot of different avenues you can go down post reality TV in terms of your exposure. There's lots of different ways.
You can go to club nights. I know that they had to try to do all that sort of stuff after Take Me Out. They paid you to go to clubs. They give you like tables, and they just got you drunk.
Yeah, I did a few of those.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I did a few of those.
And that was good money? Because I don't know, I think it's a long time since.
Yeah, it just
grand a time or something.
You might get a couple of grand at a pop, which is incredible, and it seems ridiculous. You go there to just turn up and get pictures of people, and you get paid by a nightclub to just be there.
Be there, yeah, okay.
Which seems, it seems almost ridiculous when you say it out loud. But I guess the second part of the answer is, you can do whatever you want to earn money, but if it's not aligned with who you are and what you want to be, doesn't matter how much money it gives you, it's not going to make you happy, so what really is the point? And I went through a whole period of making money from doing things which weren't truly aligned with who I was as a person or where I wanted to go as a person.
Okay.
So I, in short, did monetize my post-Love Island journey.
Yeah.
I did brand deals, I did, social media things, whatever, a few club appearances and these kind of things, which, if you, from the outside looking in, you would say, oh, he's been successful.
Yeah.
But I felt overwhelmingly unfulfilled from doing those things.
Yeah, it's just meaningless bollocks.
Yeah, and
it might paid,
and I don't want to come across as like ungrateful, because it's definitely not that, and I'm very grateful for those experiences.
Yeah.
But it made me kind of like hyper aware of like,
this isn't fulfilling.
Yeah, money doesn't equal happiness. It just doesn't.
You wanted to help people, didn't you?
But I really didn't even know that at this point. I just know I didn't really feel good about what I was doing.
Interesting.
I come from a very hard-working background, hard-working family.
Yeah.
Used to do like 70, 80 hours a week in bars and stuff.
Yeah.
And I loved work. Like, I actually loved it wasn't like a punishment or anything. I actually loved it. And going from that to like transitioning to modelling, which is probably a bit less hard work, to then like a job which didn't really feel like any effort at all.
Well, turn up to a club and get pissed.
And for me, and not the same for everybody else, that could be a dream come true for somebody else, but for me, it left me feeling like a
empty shell.
Yeah, like what is the point? Am I just here to just to do this? And that's when I really started to answer those questions I was talking about. Who am I? What kind of person do I want to be? What do I stand for? What are my morals? What are my ethics?
Right.
And that's what led me into coaching.
Okay, all right.
And that's what led me into, well, I know I like fitness. I know I want to help people. I actually did my level 2 and 3 PT course a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Just never used it because I went into Love Island.
Right.
And I was like, right, this is like the universe's way of saying, well, there's your answer. Pursue that.
Go help people.
Go help people. And one of the biggest things I became aware of very quickly was how much exercise can improve your mental health, which is what helped me with my mental health.
Yeah.
And
happy endorphins. I will, no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm dieting, whatever, I will always do 30 minutes cardio every single morning. I can work, so I can do a bit of multitasking. It makes me feel so much better. And if I don't do that, I feel like a zombie. I feel like I'm just flushed with happy endorphins all the time. And that's why I'm probably so positive. I know some of these podcasts, it might make me feel like I'm miserable. I'm not. I've got amazing family, my missus, I love her so much, I've got kids, it's incredible, but I can't switch off. I want to enjoy it, I can't, because all I'm thinking about is work all the time. So then as a result, am I happy? That's what I'm do you know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at. And I'm like, someone's going to give me a trick here to switch off and actually love my life, because people will see the nice things I've got and all this and all these businesses. They assume, oh, that must be amazing. I bet he's jizzing his pants. No, you don't want it. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I'm hoping someone can help. Yeah.
So you need help having boundaries with yourself, do you think?
I suppose so, yeah, because I will just get up at 4 in the morning and just try my best to work as much as I possibly can till 10:30 every day. They'll go, have a nice weekend, and I'll be like, I am not having a weekend. Saturday, Sunday. I've literally just forced myself to have Saturday, Sunday off. I did Saturday morning paying all staff, because I've got like 37 staff total across all businesses. And then after that, I was like, right, what do I do? I was telling these guys, I literally had to like arrange cupboards and like wash cars to do something, because if I just sit there, unless I was at the cinema's a good one. I might need to force myself to go to the cinema, because I'm a considerate person. I've never had my phone on. I put it down and have to get engrossed in it. If I'm at home, I'll just go, oh, well, there's my office there. I'll just start working. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I feel like a failure for not working. I feel like I'm letting myself down. I'll try and like challenge myself to like turn on Netflix, and I'll get like 10 minutes in and I'm going, what are you doing? You waste of space. Get working. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Unless
yeah,
I'm with my missus, because then I know she's going to tell me off if I go work. I'll sit there and watch like a bit of Game of Thrones, and I'm just like, why am I doing this? Why? Do you know what I mean? I'm trapped in my own head.
Wow.
Like, it's crazy.
It makes sense, and I'm sure it's a story a lot of people can relate to. And before I really respond to that, I just want to say that I think that kind of mindset is probably exactly why you are where you are today. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just might be holding you back in some aspects.
Yes, the happiness side.
If you weren't this hardworking, driven, ambitious person, you absolutely wouldn't be the success you are today. So remember that you need to be grateful for that mindset instead of just demonize it and need to just cut it off your body because it's toxic. Like, it's got you to where you are today. You can provide for your family and do all these amazing things. So it is a good thing. But I think you probably just want to try to compartmentalize your life instead of being just completely like work.
Yeah.
Almost like have it in blocks where like, right, between 8:30 or whenever you wake up, between 7 o'clock and 5 p.m, I know that's work. I'm going to give it my absolute all. Then from this time to this time, there's a block for this. Then there's a block for kids, and there's a block for wife. And
I have started trying to colour my diary, like family time, an hour, appointment, an hour, this, do you know what I mean? And it's helping a little
I think knowing that tomorrow you've got this big chunk of work block, you know it's coming again, so you can relax. You can be like, you know, if you're sitting watching Netflix and think, what am I doing? I should be working. You can actually say to yourself, well, in my diary, I know in 2 hours I've got another work block coming up, so I should just switch off.
I think it's the guilt I've created for myself, do you know what I mean? I feel like if I've set myself this golden rule of, look, you need to retire by 40, you need to do a normal person's week 3 times in your 1 week. If you don't do that, then you're not going to achieve your goal. I know I'm not going to retire at 40 because I'm obsessed. I know I'll just keep going. Do you know what I mean? I've done 2 gyms. I know I'll do 3. I'll probably do 4 or 5 and then do 10. Do you know what I mean? It's just who I am. But yeah,
Where can I ask you a question? Where do you think the motivation comes from to do all this? Where's the drive come from?
So I've been seeing a therapist recently, and it was I think I've created it myself by all means, but I think it was my dad. My dad was a very, very successful person, self-made, multimillionaire, and everyone's telling me all these incredible stories about my dad and what a legend he is. And every single time I listen to one, I feel proud, but then I feel like a failure because I'm like, I haven't achieved that yet. Do you know what I mean? I've only achieved this. He achieved this. Wow. I need to do it, and it's such a lot of pressure. I've built this monster in my head, and I keep feeding it. But like I say, it's other people feeding it. I mean, what she had me do actually was incredible. She said, look, we need to get these emotions, we need to find out where they've come from, we need to put them in a box, and we need to pass them to whoever gave them to you. Then tell them to pass it back down the line because it wasn't their fault. Do you know what I mean? So that it really blew my brains, that, and I did literally cry this whole therapy session, and I was like, I have just realised so many things. Like I was saying to you before, I was a naughty kid at school. I got kicked out of loads of schools, and she said, well, you were fat, so you weren't good at sport, so you were a failure. Your dad was a winner. You wanted to be a winner. You weren't academic, so you weren't going to get, you know, any brownie points for that. So you picked one thing you could be good at, which was being naughty, and you just made it your bitch. You were just incredible at being naughty and getting hoiked out all the time. She said, how did it make you feel when you tell everyone about all these schools? And I was like, well, back in the day, it was like quite proud. She's like, there you go. That was your thing. That was how you were getting attention off your parents that you craved. Do you know what I mean?
That's the child I'm talking about.
That's
the needs of the child that still lives within.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you need to kind of realise where all your traits come from. But it's incredible. Like I say, I can't believe I've got this far without actually going crazy. I did say I'm not crazy, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I'm finding the whole journey quite interesting. But I think for you, obviously, with this mental health sort of podcast, I think it really is so important because of what you've been through. Because you've, do you know, like if someone gets sent an abusive message once, they have a meltdown. You were sent thousands, weren't you? Really?
Yeah.
And for you to be like strong enough mentally to deal with all this, how the hell do you do it? Do you know if someone just sends you a death threat?
Oh, you know what?
What the hell?
I'll interrupt you. I wasn't strong enough to deal with it.
Okay, right.
And I, in its peak, it would be like, you know, if you got a message request and it says like plus 99, you've got like a 99 request. I would, in its peak, not now, but in its peak, if I went on that and then just scroll down to refresh it, it would be a new 99 plus.
Wow.
In one set, I do it again the next second, it would be a new 99. So it was like hundreds per minute. And the bottom line is, I wasn't strong enough, and I don't think many people are.
No, I honestly
unless you're practiced or trained in it. So the bottom line is, I wasn't strong enough.
Okay.
I just wanted to be strong enough too.
Okay.
And there was a huge period where like I didn't know if I was strong enough to get through the other side of it. I was like, this is really quite tough. And you figure out that you're strong enough because you don't give up. It's not something I was like, right, I'm strong enough to get through this. I'm gonna get through it.
Yeah, because you delete your social media, then I suppose you're irrelevant to all the people wanting to give you a bit of money.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Because you've got to have a bit of a following to sell, you know, toothpaste or whatever. You know, they were trying to push it.
Yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
I tried to stay clear from the bullshit stuff, like
really?
teeth whitening and stuff like that. But no, I want to just make it crystal clear. Like, I wasn't like this super tough mental person. Absolutely not. It's something I've tried to cultivate over time.
What helped you from the abuse, you know, all the trolls and stuff? Would you say just ignore it and just delete everything and not even open it, or would you say just tackle it and get some body armor?
No, for me it was like empathy for the person sending the message.
Okay,
so like when it first started to happen, like I said before, no real self-awareness, no real sense of self, and I massively validated myself from what other people thought of me.
Okay.
So if other people tell me I'm something bad, I think I'm something bad.
Right.
So imagine those first few months of me getting abuse. I believe it all. I think, I am a bad person, I'm a dick, I'm a horrible guy, etc., etc. You start to identify as these messages. And I kind of realized that if I keep doing that, I'm probably not going to be here much longer. That's going to send me to a place where I'm not going to survive very much. So knowing that, I needed to try and get myself out of it. So I had to start to recognize that maybe the people sending me those messages don't even believe what they're saying to me.
Yeah,
maybe they're hurting.
Yes.
You know, maybe they're going through stuff. If I try and think back to my, I guess, moments where I might have been not nice or mean or nasty, whatever in my life, because I'm not perfect, it almost always came from a place of I wasn't happy myself. You know, no one sat at the top of the castle buzzing with life, just calling people names.
Yeah,
you know, most of the people sending these kind of messages are actually going through shit themselves.
Yeah, so if you've ever said
all that
something
happened
abusive,
to me,
you're in a bad mood, you get you.
All that happened to me was I got exposed to tens of millions of people, and then I got a few thousand bad messages. So in the same way I might walk into a gym of 100 people and I get 2 people don't like me, that's not going to ruin my day, right? I just got exposed to it on a massive scale.
Get you.
So it overwhelmed me at the start, but it's just kind of relative to like that show gets viewed by like I said, millions and millions of people. And a huge portion of those people are young people, not so different from myself at the time, struggle with identity, struggle with sense of self, and have their identity validated by what other people think of them. Of course they're going to send me messages.
Yeah, nasty shit.
When they see me doing something that's perceived as not good.
So if someone sends you a message, you're an absolute bellend, whatever, some meaningless bullshit, are you just looking at it going, this guy's having a bad day, I feel really sorry for this person?
Yeah, in a simple way, yeah. There would be the occasion where I did get affected. I remember I got a message from somebody and it was really quite nasty, and I clicked on the person's profile and there was a teacher. It said in their bio like high school teacher, and I was like, wow. If teachers are thinking this, like maybe it is true.
Yeah. Really? And
you
clicked on the profile. Don't do it. Never read the comments. Never read the comments.
Never read. You know, but then you know, as I get older and older, I realise that poor mental health doesn't discriminate to any type of person. It can affect anybody. Okay. Anyone going through poor mental health could be likely to be abusive or mean or not nice. You know, I said on a podcast a few months ago on our podcast, I quoted somebody who I'd read from, and it said, "Those who need the most love show it in the most unloving ways." And it's like the people who need help they don't show it. They don't say I need help.
Yeah,
they're normally they're normally abusive.
Yeah, makes sense.
They're normally hard to work with.
Get you.
And I was like, oh, maybe those people need the most help.
Yes,
You
they're
know,
the ones that need.
They're the ones that need the
sort of
support, kind of thing. So
if
that helps me massively.
So your thought process now that you're stronger in the mind. If someone ever sends you anything nasty, or someone beeps at you and gives you a finger in car, whatever, you instantly go, I feel sorry for this person. This guy's having a bad day. Their mental health is obviously suffering. You don't take it to heart.
As much. Yeah,
So that's
I just don't have all, like, we have this tendency as humans to think we have all the information. We think we've got all the data, and we like to make comments or assumptions as if we have all the knowledge, right? So if someone beeps at me, we like to think, what a dick! How would you fucking beep at me? You're in the wrong. I'm in the right. Yeah. And we just completely avoid the potential of us not having all the information. They might have a fucking pregnant wife in the back seat about to give birth, and they're in a rush. I don't know that because I can't see. I've not got all the information.
That's interesting.
And if I had that information, I wouldn't have kicked off. I wouldn't have been fuck off.
Yeah.
You know,
so quick, aren't they?
So sometimes what helps me just pin it for a sec is, all right, maybe I don't have all the context, and that helps me, you know, navigate.
That's a trick that I'm gonna take on board now. So with your PT side of things, are you enjoying that? Are you so you're online? Do you do one-to-one as well, or do you just do online?
Actually, it's the other way around. So I went through a process of, right, I want to start online coaching. I know it's what I want to do. I want to help people.
Yeah.
And I had a company approach me who wanted to help me build an app. I had a big profile. It made perfect sense. And through this process, I had this undeniable feeling of like imposter syndrome. Kind of like, I'm not really ready to have this big business, right?
I think we taught this when you first came to the gym, didn't you? You went to the other gym,
And, you know, I didn't really feel like I'd earned my right, earned my place. I wasn't really a credible personal trainer yet.
Okay.
So how am I going to step into the field and be like, right, sign up to Coaching by DW, I can do this, and this, you know, whatever, and charge whatever I want. And most likely yield a decent return because of my audience, right?
Yes.
And that just sent me a bit under because I didn't
feel...
You
were a pretender.
Yeah, I felt like a pretender.
Absolutely. Because I do still think this. I think people that just do online, unless you've had a couple of years experience under your belt, you're a pretender. And I don't care what you think, as in like not you personally, but these people, I do own multiple gyms. I've been PT for the last, God knows, since I was 17. Trust me, you get so much from it. If you're supposed to be, if you're meant to be a personal trainer, you'll enjoy it. You won't want to step away from it. So many people, online only. Why?
Yeah.
You shouldn't be training then. You shouldn't be training. Do you know what I mean? Like, unless you've had 30 years and your back's done for and you can't do it no more. Yeah, by all means. But personal training, I think, is so personal. And you should really take satisfaction from it. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
There's too many people that just go, online because you can just click.
That's how I felt.
Yeah.
And we wasn't so far from having a finished product ready to launch, right? And like I said, I was feeling like a bit of an imposter. I'm not ready. I don't feel credible. And long story short, we pulled the plug.
Okay.
I said, I want to take some time
Get you.
to actually rediscover this love for people skills and all these kind of things, communication skills, whatever. So we pulled the plug, didn't go ahead. This is about a year ago. And in the last year and a bit, I've been just doing one-to-one PT.
Oh, really? So how many are you at now then? Because obviously you're going almost.
So I'm juggling a few things. So I've literally kept it to 5. So I've not exceeded 5 clients. So I'm doing a few other things at the same time.
Is that 5 clients, multiple sessions, or literally just 5 sessions?
No, I've got 5 clients.
Yeah, multiple sessions.
As in, like, the max I'll see somebody is twice a week.
Okay, all right.
Some people it's bi-weekly.
Could be 10 sessions a week max. Thing. You say
And it was, for me, it was I wanted to give myself a sense of like, yes, I am an online coach and I feel like I belong here. I've earned my stripes kind of thing. I've got the experience, although it's only a year.
Still having that one-to-one
experience, feeling like I've actually helped real people in real life.
Yes.
It really has kind of helped me a lot. And like you said, I love one-to-one PT. I used to be a bartender for 4 years. I love people. I love talking to people.
Yes.
I love chatting. I love the casualness of it. Like, I'm definitely like someone who thrives off that. You know, I leave a session feeling energized and not depleted.
Yeah, so helping people. It's another helping people because most of my clients are ladies, and you know, they might not be able to speak to their husband about the new Chanel handbag or the new MAC Myth lipstick or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You can speak to me about that, and I know full well you're going to walk out of that session feeling 10% happier or in a better mood, and that gives me satisfaction. Because like I said to you, like a lot of business coaches go, "Why do you do that?" I'm like, well, you know, I just still enjoy it. And they're like, yeah, but you still do 10 sessions. You know, you shouldn't be doing stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, but I enjoy it. They're like, no, but how are you going to do 10 gyms if you've still got a 10-hour-a-week hobby? I'm like, well, there's got to be something for me, hasn't there?
100%. It comes back to what do you define success as? I think if you can define success as just the money in your account, then listen to your business mentors, because they'll probably tell you how best to achieve success.
Yeah, money only.
But if your definition of success has to have some kind of element of, I want to do something for me which is fun and make me happy, I want to help people, I want to earn some money, I want to do X, Y, and Z, then that's your definition, and that's absolutely fine. So only you really have the roadmap to that. No mentor's going to come and say, what are you doing wasting 10 hours a week? Their roadmap's different to your roadmap. You're heading in a different direction.
So I can feel successful if I want to feel successful. That's what you're saying.
100%.
Oh, really? That's
a
interesting.
$1,000,000%. You know, we're conditioned to think success
It's based on bank
equates to money, which I think to some degree it does.
Okay.
Like, I'm not saying money's not what it is. Like, you know, if you have enough money, you can pay for the things which affect your happiness. Okay, so you've got no money, you have no control over the things that do affect how happy or unhappy you are. Absolutely. But across a certain threshold, like I'm sure you've exceeded many moons ago, money is actually not related to your happiness.
It's meaningless. It is absolutely.
It can be a bit of a burden, and you come, especially as a people pleaser type person you are, you might feel like I've got to donate more to charity. I've got to help set someone else's business up for them. I've got to pass on my advice. And, you know, sometimes success isn't always just about money. And if you just chase money, it can actually lead you to being like feeling unsuccessful.
Yeah, I think that's probably what I've done, because I've always been like money driven, and then when you get past a certain point, like you say, it just goes, ugh. So are you successful? Would you say you're successful?
I think I have the roadmap to my success.
Okay, all right.
But I don't think that, I wouldn't sit here and say I am a success yet.
Okay.
But I'm striving for I'm striving for my version of success.
Okay. How far do you think you're off?
The thing is, it's like a Pandora's box. You're never really truly there.
Okay.
I feel like I'm striving, as long as you're working towards something which you think
it's going to make a difference.
It's going to make a difference, going to help people, and it has to be bigger than yourself. I think that's a key factor. I think if you're working towards something which is bigger than yourself, then that helps me feel like I'm being a success.
Okay.
You know, if I was just doing it for me and it was only about myself, then even if I was doing good at it, I don't think I'd feel as successful. Okay. But I feel like because I'm trying to do something which can help a lot of people and build a community, which if I just suddenly died one day, the community's still there and they're all still connected. That's bigger than me. You know, it's not about me anymore. It's about something bigger than that. So
that's what you want to do. You want to earn your stripes, build a community, bring people together, help them be healthy and healthy mind, all the rest of it.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think it's just, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So with the personal training side of things, are you sponsored at now? Are you sponsored by Alpha Elite, or do you just like Alpha Elite, or what's going on?
Yeah, I work with Alpha Elite, yeah. Amazing. So we were just chatting before about Houston, their massive complex they've built. I was lucky enough to go in January for their launch.
It's just the one in it that Christian Guzman owns, that monstrous, crazy.
Yeah, so there's Alpha Elite, the clothing brand.
Yeah.
And then there's the Alpha Elite gym.
Yeah.
And then he might have a few other businesses, I'm not 100% sure. But I think, cut a long story short, he decided to build a giant HQ for everything.
Yes.
And it's literally it's like a university campus.
Really?
With state-of-the-art architecture and everything, just absolutely incredible.
Have you been a couple of times, just the once?
I've been once, and I'm going again on Friday.
Amazing.
So I'm going this week.
Bring me a t-shirt back.
Yeah, I'll bring you some stuff.
I think he's just incredible. I love his YouTube. I really do. Yeah.
It's inspiring. It's like you walk, and this is what I'm saying about something bigger than yourself. You walk around that place, and it's not Christians. It's not like just a single person. It's like, this is a giant community of thousands of people, which was born out of Christian's idea, but now it's like this beast which is global. And I'm sure he feels successful because he's built something where if he suddenly passed away tomorrow,
it's still going.
That monster's still going to be here, and he started that.
Do you think he knows that? Because I think
I think he's very aware of like legacy and how important it is. I think he strives just my observation and personal opinion, I think it's admirable. He definitely strives for legacy. I think it's not just about money in the account or showing it.
Yeah, because he mastered that a long time ago.
And when I met him, he was overwhelmingly
nice.
Yeah, normal.
He does seem pretty chill.
It's so like just a normal guy, just with the simple principles that I think we spoke about earlier. And I think he's got good relationships, good people around him.
Ask him if he's happy.
I know he works. I know he works very, very hard, and maybe he doesn't have work-life balance on the nailed on, but he's working towards something which is, like I said, legacy. And I think we can sit here and be idealistic about a work-life balance and idealistic about switching off of your misses and all those kind of things. I do also believe that's a nuanced thing where like there is going to be a portion of your life where if you are working with something that's going to be bigger than yourself in a big business or a big project, there's going to come times where you do have to sacrifice and things aren't perfect. And you probably will find it hard to switch off. That's the nuanced part, which probably people don't talk about enough. There will be like sleepless nights and stress nights and double shifts or whatever you might want in the pursuit of something great. That you can't have it all. You can't have this like work-life balance, 8 hours a night sleep and all these kind of things, perfect relationship. You can't have it all. I think it's just about picking your battles.
Yeah, when you can. And just look after yourself along the way.
As long as you don't go into the extreme,
yes,
and
which is
detrimental to your
definitely health. What I've done. But this is why, like I say, this has been so helpful to me. I'm just like, because I genuinely thought I just wasn't going to survive it. Like I say, I was just thinking I was going to work myself to death. I'm like, I need to talk to some people, some successful people who I deem to be successful and motivating. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Well, do you know what? I think I'm going to take home from that. It's the whole, obviously, dealing with other people's nasty shit and looking at them in a different light. Actually, that isn't meant for me. They're struggling with that at home. And then obviously practicing, helping people, talking to people. What was the third one? Who? Fun. That's you see that. I like how that's literally on the bottom of my list, which is just bad, really. Fun should probably come first for a bit.
Do you know what it is for me, which underpins like those three things? Is that the hardships or the shit, the not nice stuff, whether it's nasty messages or business stress or whatever it might be. The shit is going to happen whether you like it or not. The shit is inevitable. What we can control is, can we equip ourselves with the tools to deal with that shit? And I think we equip ourselves with the tools by having fun, relationships, and all those kind of things I spoke about. I think what used to stress me out, it might have stressed you out, is, especially as a business person, you want to be able to control everything. And if you don't have control over the shit, that can stress you out. What if this happens? What if this happens?
Just let go a bit.
The shit will happen. It will show up whether you like it or not.
All right, I get you.
What we do have control over is, can we equip ourselves with the tools to deal with that shit? And if you do that, if you try and work on those things, then you're in as good a position as anybody else.
I like that. We'll finish on that one, I think.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Cool.
Thank you very much,
mate. Pleasure.
Thank you.